Welcome back to Core Anesthesia. Whether you are a student prepping for tests and boards or a CRNA here to earn CEUs, we are glad you've joined us. For more about us, make sure to check us out on Instagram at Core Anesthesia and online at coreanesthesia.com.
Welcome back to Core Anesthesia. I'm Cole here with Tanner, and we're just excited to get back on doing another podcast again. It's been a while. I mean, we've only done one episode in the last couple months, ever since the conference in San Diego. Do you want to fill in, Tanner, on why that is exactly?
Yeah, it's been a minute. We've been working on a lot of exciting stuff, and the biggest thing that we've been working on is releasing video content for the app. So this has been something that we've had in the works for probably over a year, talking about it and getting it set up. And so we've been putting a lot of time and effort into that here this fall. So we're excited that will all be released probably the same time this episode's coming out. But we have slowed down on releasing as many episodes, but all for a good cause. We're excited for all the new content that's coming out.
Yeah, with that being said, though, we are really excited to get back to doing another audio episode. And today we are really excited because we noticed at the conference in San Diego that a lot of people kept coming up and saying how beneficial the RealTalk episode that we did involving our significant others. And we did trying to remember what we called it exactly. It was like anesthesia school from a spouse perspective, I believe is what we called it. And so many people kept coming up and telling us how just beneficial that was for them and their significant others to listen to that, either applying and going into school, whether they were just starting or they were in the thick of it. And I went back and listened to that episode after hearing the amount of feedback we had on that. And I was like, we really didn't finish the story on that. We were in the middle of our third year, and we kind of brought the journey up to that point and how rough it was, how hard it was, and how we hope one day there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, I remember, Tanner, you said that there's going to be a time somewhere in the distant future where it's going to be sunny out. I'm going to be cleaning my garage out the night before a case. I'm not going to care what's going on the next morning, what the case is, and hopefully someday that'll happen. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like we're there now. Like I feel like we finally have gotten there. It's been 3.5 years since you recorded that last episode. But so we wanted to have our wives back on. So we're really excited to have Tanner's wife, Danny, and my wife, Paige, back on this episode. This will be part 2. So if you have not listened to our first episode where we brought on our wives, I really encourage you to go do so. We'll do a brief recap of that here in a minute, but we'll really just move forward with the journey. So Tanner, do you want to start by introducing Danny?
Yeah, so Danny and I have been married 10 years in December, so coming up here. And Danny is a NICU nurse that now stays home with our 2-year-old kiddo. We enjoy traveling whenever we can. And it's been a really different season of life for us now that we are parents and we have moved back to the Midwest. But yeah, babe, it's glad to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is Paige. We have been married for 9 years now. In January. See, I knew that. So we're 8 years, and then 9 come January. So my wife, Paige, for those of you that listened to the first episode, she was a surgical technologist. And why are you looking at me like this?
It looked like you looked down at notes that were done like in front of you. Like
I don't have any notes. I promise.
Like you're like, my wife is.
Point number 1.
She's kind.
I love her.
She's got pretty eyes.
Yeah.
So, okay, last episode, we talked about how she worked all the way up through when I graduated, and then our graduation date was going to be her retirement date. So she was a surgical technologist. We didn't meet in the OR. We met years before that. I wish we could have worked together in the OR, but she retired when I graduated. She's now a stay-at-home mom with our 3 children. We've added between the 4 of us, we've added 3 children since you graduated, right? Yeah. Since you recorded this last episode, part 1. So Paige and I had our second child, Eliza, just a couple weeks after we recorded our part 1 of this episode, because you were in your 3rd trimester when we recorded it. And then we had, that was 6 months before graduation. And then we had another daughter, Janie, about a year after that, 1.5 years after we graduated. She's almost 18 months now. And then you guys are coming up on, no, you're over 2 years now, right?
Yeah.
On Brooks?
You just turned 2.
Just turned 2 week before last.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. So we are living the dream with the young kiddos right now. And no, it's a blessing to be in this stage of life, but it's also a hard stage of life for those of you that have been through it. But yeah, I just wanted to pick up, I guess, from where we left off last time, where we were in the middle of our third year of school. We were in the thick of it, in the thick of clinicals. Just day in and day out, and we were just hopeful for what the future brought. So I don't know, Tanner, do you guys just want to pick up on where we were from that conversation?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, Danny, if like initially, because I think that one of the big misconceptions of CRNA school is the first year out of CRNA school. I don't feel like it's really talked about really at all. So, did you ever have like, I guess, what was your perception going into year three? Because I remember us like literally counting down like on the wall how many weeks or how many months or how many rotations were left. And then when did you feel like that actually felt like, okay, that's like done. We're back to normal. Everything feels kind of like similar to where we were before school.
Yeah, I feel like we counted down for forever. But I'm just going to preface this all by saying it's kind of a miracle because it's really hard to remember those days, which is crazy to say that because I feel like when you were in it, it was just like devastating and just, it was so tough. From everybody's perspective, everybody's experience. But I feel like now thinking back to it, it's almost hard. I'm like, oh, I don't really remember what those days really, really felt like. I remember the general feeling over them, but when you're just immersed in it, it's just such a hard time. But I wanted to say that to give you all hope because it's almost a miracle in itself that you forget or have to really rack your brain to remember what it felt like in those times. So that is definitely like a great situation to find yourself in. But I feel like the countdown never felt like it was surreal or like it was happening. Like graduation wasn't happening until like those last 2 or 3 days before because you had to submit you guys were doing clinical up until I think your last clinical was Saturday and you graduated Sunday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I feel like it wasn't even like we were enjoying that, time before or like you made it until we just literally crashed into graduation.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like after that, it was such a relief, but then boards were, such a stressor. You guys ended up graduating. You guys graduated in December. So then holidays and all that on top of prepping for boards. I know your goal was to do boards before Christmas so we could like know either way. But that wasn't a fun waiting period either. Studying for boards and prepping for boards and all the stress that came with that. And then of course the relief of passing boards it's just like a roller coaster, highs and lows of like, okay, you're not done with clinical, but then you graduate, yay. But then like get back to studying for boards. Oh no. But then did you pass? I don't know. And then you find out you passed and that's a great feeling. And then I feel like that's where you're like, okay, we made it. But that ends up not really being the case.
That reminds me, do you guys remember at our graduation ceremony, like as you said, we like crashed into it. Like you literally were like doing clinical the very, very last day. And I think Thursday night or Friday was my last day. And then Sunday we went to graduation and we were just kind of like, oh, it's like, I can't believe this is actually here. And then do you remember what the families were told at the graduation ceremony?
No.
I think
I blocked it all out.
Well, Paige, do you remember, Paige?
Well, it was just kind of like you're not CRNAs till you pass boards, and it's like, oh, just one extra step now. Like,
yeah,
we don't even get to celebrate.
Yeah, it was kind of like, thanks for the reminder.
Yeah.
I mean, we did celebrate, but it was still kind of like, because it's the same as, I mean, being a nurse or like surgical tech, like it's all great. You do the schooling, but unless you get the certification or unless you pass the test and like, like you can't practice. And so I feel like they just knock you back down that day. But because you're, it really is true that you did it, but like you didn't really do it yet. And so I feel like that time was pretty stressful. And then passing boards, of course, great news. But then I feel like the next 4 or 5 months, I wasn't really prepared for what came then. I don't know how you felt, Paige, but I felt like January, their timeline was they graduated in December and passed boards at the end of December. But like January through May was a whole nother beast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I have a little bit different memory of the whole graduation thing. I think I was just so excited that it was done. Like that he didn't have to go anymore. Like they didn't have a hold on him anymore. So like
You're also married to Cole, so you knew boards was in the bag. For
Well,
Danny,
no,
No.
yes,
he
no,
had a lot more
I'm
stress lining up.
I'm
No.
going to be honest. I was never worried about boards. I
Of
truly
course.
wasn't. He
I
was
was.
terrified. He was like,
Yes.
Paige, if I don't pass, all this was for nothing. We're in debt forever. Like,
Yep.
what are we going to do? And I was like, Cole, I'm not worried about it. I have a piece about it. I think you're going to pass. Like, it's going to be great. We ended up I had planned a huge graduation party for him the night of graduation.
Yeah.
So we literally got home from the ceremony and we had like 75 people in our house.
Wow. Yeah.
And like everyone who loved him, everyone who has supported him, we just had a huge party and it was so fun. I highly recommend doing something like that. You've gone through the trenches, you finally made it. Who cares about boards in that moment? Go celebrate yourself because it was so fun.
Yeah.
We had a blast. Even if you don't have, 75 people to celebrate with.
I
Pick your closest
crashed
friend.
that night. Like the week leading up to graduation was probably the longest week of the entire program for me. It felt like a month-long week of clinical. And then graduation was a whole long day of
Yeah.
several ceremonies. So we came home and had this amazing, massive party. And then I remember laying in bed that night and I was like, I don't have to go tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like I literally don't have to go to clinical. I don't have to get up before 8. Like
Mhm.
that's when it finally hit and set in. And I looked at Paige and I was like, we did it.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Do you remember we went to dinner the last night of your clinicals?
No.
We went to dinner and we were so excited, like two little schoolboys. We just couldn't believe ourselves. And I posted a picture on Facebook and somebody said, Cole, you look so tired.
I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, well, he is.
We had
You're
enough
right.
money to go to dinner.
Yeah.
Well, we
No.
charged
Do you
it.
remember that time? Like, oh,
Yeah.
like
On the
just-
student loan.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think for me that first week, because we graduated on a Sunday and we took our boards on Friday. Is that right? That same week, like the
Yes.
Friday after we graduated on
Yeah.
Sunday. But I remember during that week when it was like really the crunch time for studying, there was a little park by the apartment that we were renting, and we would go out and like for an afternoon, we'd like grab a coffee and then go for a walk. I think that for me was like the what
Where was
Danny's
that?
mouth. They know we did in the back.
I don't remember any of this, you guys.
for real.
Grabbed a Where
Well,
was
Anyway,
it?
if it's
really
true or
special
whatever,
day.
this is what Tanner remembers. So.
I'm sorry. Where were we?
In
Geographically,
Springfield.
should we tell people that?
Yeah, Springfield.
Okay.
I
You
thought
don't
you went
remember
right back to Indiana after graduation.
Oh, they
We were in my parents' basement.
No.
You took boards in Indiana.
Yeah. And you found out you passed in Lafayette.
It's a miracle
telling a
Tanner
lie,
passed
guys.
boards, guys. I'm telling you.
this is
Hold
a
on.
disaster.
Did we leave right after?
Yeah. We packed up our crap and we were carrying it in trash bags down the stairs.
Guys, the moral of the story here is no matter how bad it seems in the moment,
Yeah.
it becomes this blocked off. We consider it the dark years, and you just lump them into these dark years that you
Yeah.
sacrifice to get into the light. And we're gonna get to all the light stuff here very
They
shortly.
were definitely
but
our darkest years, but you know what? You come through. And now we're happy again.
I think what I was saying with that, when I made up a story.
He said we were taking a walk. I was there. We were
No.
strolling, coffee. Go ahead.
I
I'm sorry.
just remember that week when I was studying and I would take breaks and then we would go for a walk. It wasn't when we were back in Illinois, but that was, I mean, we would do
Okay.
that other
That's
times.
fine.
But I just remember thinking like,
We take a lot of walks.
yeah, we do. I was just thinking like, you finally have control over your schedule again, which you've not had for 3 years. And that was like such a small thing, but just having the ability to like plan your day around whatever you want it to be. And then I think that for me was like the first step in feeling like myself again, because before that, whenever somebody told you you had to be somewhere for 3 years, like you had to be somewhere. So even though boards was still hanging over my head, I feel like that was the first like breath of fresh air of just having control of your schedule again. And then obviously getting through boards was a massive step. That was like super stressful for me and for us. But um, I think the next hurdle for me was going actually to work. I think I was like sometimes more stressed those first several months at work than I was sometimes in CRNA school. I remember one time I checked my Apple Watch and my heart rate was like 135. And I was like, I was sitting in the chair. Like there was no reason that I should be feeling that way. And I was like, man, I got to like get myself under control because I was just anxious and nervous and studying more the nights before cases and preparing. So I don't know if you guys had that same experience, but I think that first wave graduation boards, was one thing, but then starting the job was a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's not talked about. I kind of had the perception of, oh yay, Cole graduated.
You retired.
Now, yeah, I get to stay home now. It's easy. It's
The light's here.
We just keep going, and now he works, and it's great. But that first year was rough. I remember Cole being so stressed and so anxious about every case and still looking up every detail of everything for each case. And then he would come home so stressed. And I was like, what in the world? Like, this is supposed to be good and easy and nice, but it was almost like not another year of school, but like another year of stress and like the transition. So I would just encourage people to like know that you're not just going into like a cush environment. It's going to be a big transition that no one talks about.
Yeah. I mean, Tanner, you and I both talked about this, like just from our standpoint, like we wish somebody would have told us just how much of a transition it really was. And I think that stress level played off on our spouses as well. Like just knowing how much, I mean, you talked to me about this a lot of times where you were like, I'm up later and stressing more the night before a case right now than I did in school. Like, did I make the right choice? Like, should I have done this profession? And it took me, I mean, I had a patient die like a month into working. And I remember like just like I was scared to death to do another anesthetic after that for the first week because I'm like, I don't want to lose another person because I did something wrong or right or whatever. And I don't think at the time I realized how much stress was radiating off of me onto my wife and how much she had to go through. And I guess we should have referenced this at the beginning. I wanted to say this at the beginning that both Paige and Danny, like if we did not have them going through school, I honestly do not think we would have successfully gone through school. Like it is so imperative that you have a support system, whether it is an actual spouse, it's a significant other, it's just family, it's friends, whatever you have to have some type of support system. And so we were blessed to have wives that actually were like with us every step of the way. Like Paige had to bear so much of the stress and the burden. I mean, she basically has earned at least half of an anesthesia degree just simply because of everything that she's had to hear from me and learn about. She basically did the clinicals with me from every case study that I went through with her, all the stress level, the everything, And so we really want to thank you guys first and all. I wanted to do that at the beginning, but again, here I think we need to really talk about that. It's not just over when you graduate, and our both of our wives had to really feel the brunt of that, at least for the first 6 months. I don't know. I don't know if it's fair to say a full year. I think both of us felt pretty comfortable before a year, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I don't know. What was your?
Yeah, I think earlier I alluded to like the first 5 to 6 months. I think that January through May was your first 5 months. And that was a different beast for us. I had just found out that I was pregnant in February, just like 6 weeks after we graduated.
Yep.
And we moved across the country. And so this is, definitely a certain set of circumstances for us. But there was a lot of different stressors there, just but like good ones. We were really excited about all the changes that were coming. Like you finally make it through school. These big life changes are happening. Like this is what it's all made for. Like this is what we're doing. We finally are doing it. And then you went to work in April. And I can honestly say that I think you were more stressed than you were ever in school on your first few weeks in the job. And I remember we had guests that came to visit us on your second week of work. And I think they just kept commenting, like, is he okay? And I was like, I don't know.
Truthfully, they left early. So
Was that bad?
I feel like I probably wasn't
You're
a great
like, I
host.
gotta go.
Yeah.
So, but I just feel like I just kept looking at you and I didn't even know what to do because I thought we were done with that. And I understand that it's never easy to go to a first day, like of anything ever. First new day, new job title, new role, new coworkers, trying to earn your, respect and trustworthiness and all those things. Like that is always a hard role to fill. But I felt like, you guys had done this for so many hours. You had put so much work into this. You knew what you're doing. And I thought that it would just be a smoother transition. And I was just like taken back by the nuances of that and the different emotions and stress levels. And I remember just being like, dude, are you okay? Like, are you going to be okay? What are we doing? Because we were away from family, friends. Like we knew no one where we moved. And it was just me every night. And I come home and I'm like, oh, are you okay? Like we were doing nothing. He would go to work at 7 a.m. You would come home anytime between 2 and 7. And we would sit at home and you would study. And I was like, what in the world did we just do for 3 years? We just did that. And we just moved to this new city where we're these are the last few months before we have a child. Like, let's live. Like, let's go out. And we did nothing for months. Every night you would study, you would read, you would study some more and read some more. And I felt like I was just kind of shocked by that. And like what everybody's saying, it's just a different transition that none of us were prepared for. And I feel like if even you just had a heads up on that for your support system to know, like, okay, you took a deep breath at graduation and you took a really deep breath when you passed boards, but like it's not over for the whole crew. Everybody's got to be on board for a little bit longer to help you get, settled into your role. And I would agree that I don't think it took a year. But I do think those first like 3 to 5 or 6 months of practice was pretty rocky. Not because of what you were doing at work, but just like the emotions, the anxiety, the pressure was really strong. Felt.
Yeah, and I remember feeling like really frustrated about that because I knew that I wasn't the same person that I was before I went to school. Like I knew when I was in school, I was like, for lack of a better word, distracted from like my normal self or like my hobbies or as like present as I could be within the family and that kind of thing. So I felt like that switch was just going to flip right back as soon as we graduated. And then when it didn't, I was feeling frustrated with myself, not only because I knew I was stressed at work, but then I also felt like I wasn't back to my old self. And I thought that was going to be just like a seamless transition back to being like who Tanner was preschool. So I think that was a frustration for me because I could feel the weight of it, but then I could also see the effects of it at the same time. And unlike graduation and unlike boards, there's not a definitive line when that goes away. It's not like all of a sudden, graduation happens, boards happens. It's just like all of a sudden this Monday was easier than the last Monday, or this next case is easier than the previous case. And so you just kind of like, I think when you look back, you realize that you're in a way better spot than you were, but it's not as definitive as, a graduation or a boards moment when you get more comfortable at work.
I feel like it's just so important to just adjust the expectation of, it's okay for it to take time and it's okay for it to be stressful and it's okay for, those big changes to take place, but just knowing that it's not going to be immediate and it's not going to be instant and it's not going to be smooth necessarily, or maybe even what you pictured, and that's okay. But just to be aware of that is really important because I feel like none of us were. And it was like, it was another hard 6 months. And that was really frustrating after having a hard 3 years straight through.
I think now when you look back at it, you're I don't think about work outside of work. I don't like I never it's like the least important thing on my mind. And it's like now if you could just skip to like today and you could skip to like these days being several years out, it's like, oh, it's just like night and day from when you started. It's so good. And I genuinely love what I do. Um
I remember
those
part one of this episode when you had said on there, like I think quote, like one day in the future, I'm gonna be the night before work, I'm just gonna be cleaning out my garage. I don't care what my next case is the following day. I'm not occupying my brain space concerned about what that case is going to be. I just know I'm gonna be doing a case tomorrow morning and I'm just gonna be enjoying my evening. And do you think you've reached that point now?
Oh, 100%. Like I think that's like the more cases you do, just the more repetition, the more things you see. It's like you feel like you can walk into a room and in 5 minutes have everything set up and have a plan put together and like you're ready to go. And like obviously some cases take a lot more than that, but it's just like the more that you've seen, the more that you can plan, the better you are at it. And it just like makes everything go smoother. And so yeah, literally it's like the least important thing that you think about on a day-to-day basis. And that feels so good for it to be in that spot. And then on top of that, it's like when you're actually at work, you enjoy it. Like I enjoy
Mhm.
giving anesthesia, enjoy my job. And so,
And you know
yeah,
everybody there. Like you actually form relationships at work,
dude,
not
I
just
was just gonna
bouncing
say
place to place.
when you were talking about this, I think this is like such an undervalued thing that again nobody talks about. But I think that's one of the hard and maybe it wasn't so much for you. I'm probably more of a people pleaser than you are, but I feel like in
I doubt
school
it.
that was such a hard thing because it was like you were only somewhere for like a month or a little bit longer. And so every mistake you made or error in judgment or whatever, there was no track record for them to compare that against. So my thinking was like if I missed an intubation or something, I'm thinking this entire room doesn't know who I am. They don't know that I've been successful other places. They think I'm just this like crappy new student
Mhm.
that came through here and has no idea what they're doing, missing intubations. And you're like, well, you didn't see the previous 6 months where I've not missed anything, but you just get that
Right.
like snapshot. Now, like if you would walk into work and you would like do something dumb, they would like you have such a long track record there that they would know like, okay, like that's just a fluke or something happened or that's a really hard intubation or that's a really hard airway, whatever, because they know you. And on top of that, you have all these relationships at work where you can ask people about their family, their kids, like how their vacation was. And there's just so much, it's like so many more layers to personal connections that I think that was part of the reason it was so hard to begin with. Cause I went somewhere where I knew literally nobody. I shadowed there at the place. I didn't know anybody. I'd never worked there before. And so it was like meeting new people every single day and feeling like you had to prove yourself every single day and every little hiccup that happened. And it was there every day at work and it's your first time in the, cath lab. And so you're trying to figure out where things are. And you just feel awkward and out of place. And so I think that you nailed it when you say like the interpersonal relationships. That was a huge thing. Now when you've been somewhere and you have those, I feel like that takes a whole like
Yeah.
sector of stress right off the table.
But it takes a couple weeks to even a couple months to build that, right?
Oh, for
Like I
sure.
think that's part of the reason why it just takes some time. Like I don't think I realized how much I relied upon just maybe not the actual like I want the presence of my preceptor to be right on top of me, but like I didn't realize how much I took for granted that they were in the room and at least available if I needed them. And then when I graduated and was on my own and things came up, that I was like, oh, I literally only have two hands and one mind right now. I don't have four hands and two minds working on this. And it was everybody looking at me now. Hey, what do you want to do, Cole? I'm like, I don't know. What do you guys do here? They're like, it's whatever you want to do. And like, that's when it really hit me like, okay, like I'm the one in charge right now on this. And that I think that was what was so stressful. But then once I built that rapport with everybody and they knew what I liked, I knew what they liked, the flow of things, and you just kind of settle in. Um, but as you said, it takes a while because I mean, I did I think it was like 5 or 6 months after I started, they asked me to join the open heart team, and I started doing that and then joined OB shortly after that. And so I hit like another wave, like right after I felt like I was getting comfortable, then I was like, oh boy, I'm back to being uncomfortable again. And then it's settled back down now where I'm very comfortable in that. Like now it's almost bad now. Like I walked in yesterday to my 7:30 open heart case. I got in the room at 7:10, my 7:30 case. I'm like, oh boy, I'm getting bad. I was ready at 7:27 though. Okay.
Nice work.
Go. So not
Yeah.
an anesthesia delay.
If that doesn't give you confidence in your care.
17 minutes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's
Like,
go.
I did it. Oh, yeah.
Saved by the bell.
I don't know
That's
if
awesome.
it's there, but
No, it's to the point now where like I'll walk in and the staff would be like, you'll see like their face being like, "Oh, that's why." I'm like, "What?" They're like, "We just wondered if the anesthesia was coming today. Then if we would have known it was you, it would have been."
Yeah.
But-
You guys have to understand that, like, I'm not a terribly early person either, but I would be to class at least like 5 minutes before it would start. The first slides would be going up on the screen, and Cole would come like buzzing through the door every single time.
Hey,
And so
seconds to spare though. I wasn't late.
you were never late. That's so true. You just like, and I feel like you were waiting outside the room, like you were probably there. You just didn't want to come in and sit
Yes.
down. But
No, this is just my bad personality trait, but like Paige and I have like marital issues over this. Like, no, not in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, it's because it's me that's the bad one here. Like, if I am somewhere more than 3 minutes early, I'm like, I am literally wasting 3 minutes that I could have been like being productive doing something else. And
yeah,
because I'm like I want to
it's called
complete.
anxiety.
No, he doesn't know how to relax.
Like I just am
Chill,
like,
bro.
Yeah.
Just
I'm like-
scroll on your phone for a sec.
Take a breath.
but like I'm like, okay, like I could get all this stuff done, and so like even if I was at campus early enough, I would be sitting somewhere doing stuff until I'm like, okay, I still have 30 more seconds left. Okay, now I got to go in there to start.
We all need a Cole in our life.
yes, yeah.
Look at you, Paige.
Keep the world spinning. Paige,
But then
if
it ends up being that then I hear Paige in the driveway with the car like honking the horn with the kids already all in their seatbelts and everything. She's like, "Oh, come on, it's time to go."
I'm being productive. I'll be there in a minute.
I'm like, "Let me know when the kids are in the car," and I'm like, then that becomes a
Yeah.
marital thing.
Oh yeah.
But I'm sorry, Paige. It's just how I am. But anyway, moving on from this. So I guess a question that I have for both Danny and Paige would be, so both of you have a son, right? So Brooks is 2 and Theo's 6 now. When they grow up and they're looking to go into profession and they want to, if their desire is to follow their dads and go into anesthesia, would you, after seeing it from the spouse perspective and seeing everything that it was and how hard it was and the journey that it was to get to the point that we are now? So we haven't really talked about all the light that we're at now, but we'll focus on that in a few minutes. But now that we're here, but you look back and see all basically the war that we had to go through to get to this point, would you wish that upon your child? Would you say, hey, I know it's going to be really hard, but it's 100% worth it? Or would you say, you know what, how about we pick a different profession?
I would say, yeah, if he really wants to. I think it was hard, but it was so worth it. And it would really set him up for a successful, good life. And so I would say yes, and I would support him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that, yeah, just all the things that we've talked about, what it would mean and you know, the journey that it would be. But I definitely think that the experience would cause me to advise him to not pursue that if that was his dream. I think it's a great profession.
I think the experience of school also, as hard as it is, it really molds you and shapes
Mhm.
you into the person you've become. I mean, like, you learn a lot of hard work and you learn how to respect people and you like, I just feel like there's so many life lessons that you do learn. I mean, yeah, it's hard, but there's also good in it. And I think it does make you a better person to have to go through that. And then the accomplishment that you feel, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, that both of us feel. I mean,
Yeah.
like we literally, like when we got our degree, I remember we're like that night after graduation, we're laying in bed and we couldn't believe that we'd gotten to that point. And I'm like, we earned this together. Like we together did this. This wasn't a one person thing. Like I would never been able to go through school if I didn't have my backbone at home supporting everything, like getting my lunches every day, having food when I came home at night, taking care of the kids, like just be my emotional outreach, like an outlet I mean, there's so much that you had to go through as well that I think is often overlooked when people first apply, that their significant other has to be an intimate part in that success of going through school.
Playing off of that, somebody had given us advice like once you graduate, in between the time of like you've passed your boards and before you start work, like take a big trip. And we were like, well, we don't have any money, but let's do it. So we ended up going to the Virgin Islands for 10 days. And it was so fun. Like, I think it was the time where we could like both like breathe again and like find each other again and like see that, oh my gosh, like, oh, hello, it's nice to get to know you again. It was just like, it was a really good time to just relax, unplug from everything, like get to know each other again, get to know our family again, like kind of regroup. And I think that was really important for us. I think it kind of reset us. And so I would encourage everyone to do that. I think that was a really important time. And honestly, now that's our favorite place to go. And I think we've been back several times since. That was our first time being there right after graduation. But now we've gone back a lot of times and it's just like always, it always kind of feels like home. And I think it's because, well, one, it's beautiful, but also it's just kind of like it has so many good memories for us.
Mm-hmm. It was like honestly my first I reached the light after graduating, after completing boards. And the very next week after we returned was my first day in the OR. And I remember the night before, I literally I'm not even making this up. I was Google the induction dose of propofol. Because I was like, when you do it every day, like and you're so in the and then you like take a 2-month break, it's amazing. Like your mind after 2 months, you're like, I got to get back in the groove again. And I was like, then I started freaking out. I'm like, do I remember these little things? Like I was trying to like role play. Okay, I'm ready to induce a patient. How much am I going to give again? Like how much of this dose and how much of this? And of course, when I got there, it was like riding a bike. But it was so funny. I remember the night before, I was like, Paige, like, I really hope they don't throw me into my first case on my first day. And sure enough, I got thrown right away into a case and I was just solo by myself inducing the patient. And it was just, you're right into it. And
it was good for you though.
It was very good. Yeah. But no, it was very good to take that trip with the family. And that was just such a good time. After boards were completed, everything, we could breathe again. And actually, speaking of the kids, because we took the kids with us on that trip, and I thought, we had gotten through CRNA school, so we obviously were masters at handling stress, and so we decided let's take our 3-year-old and newborn to the Virgin Islands where we've never been to before, and that was interesting, but we rocked it for 10 days, beaching it up every day. But I asked Theo tonight, as I was putting him to bed before we're recording this. We're recording this. Obviously, now we have to record after all our kids go to sleep. That's the only peace and quiet we ever get to record these episodes. But I was putting him to bed. And I said, "Hey, Theo, do you remember when Dad was in school?" And I wanted to get his opinion on, did he remember much? Did he remember his dad being gone all the time? Because I just listened to the first part of the spouse recording, and I remember Paige saying at the time that Theo was always asking where his dad is, why can't Dad be home, like why is Dad always gone, why can't he play with me? And I was like, do you remember that, Theo? Do you remember Dad being in school? He's like, well, he had no idea, just absolutely none. And he was 3.5 when we graduated. He's 6 now, and so I'm happy we did it when we did, and it killed me in the moment to have missed so many things with him. But now I'm so thankful because it has opened up so many more opportunities for me to actually be home and engaged and involved in things with him. And anesthesia gives you the availability to pursue what your passion is. So if you pursue the family life balance and being involved in your kids' activities, like most anesthesia jobs can give you the flexibility to do that. You don't have to work as many hours, but still make enough to provide for a family. If you want to make a lot of money, you have the option to make a lot of money. If you want to travel a lot, you can travel a lot. It gives you the flexibility to do that. And I'm just so thankful now that I have the opportunity to be home with my kids all the time. We live right across the street from like a 14 apartment complex which the elderly, I think you have to be over 55 to live there. So maybe not elderly, but to be over across the street. And a lot of retired folks live there. A guy came over the other day and he goes, "Do you work anymore? Like, do you work, Cole?" And I'm like, "No, I'm home all the time, but I work."
That made me mad because he works 40 hours and sometimes
yes.
overtime. So he definitely works. It's just because he works 24-hour shifts that it can cover it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm working when they're sleeping.
But I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
You're like, no, it's still 40 hours.
Right.
But it is nice to have the flexibility of like daytime hours at home. You know, when we never had that in school. Like you guys were gone for forever. And then when you came home, it was still something related to school. And even in the first, little bit of practice, it still felt like that. Also, completely a side note, but look out for the first call shift. Or the second one or the third one. You will not sleep a wink with your spouse over there, like checking their phone every single second to make sure that they did not miss a call. And that's completely unrelated, but wow.
Yeah.
That's another one of those
That
things.
was probably a me problem, but I was just terrified that I was gonna miss my phone call. But
You're not alone, man.
yeah.
Even when I'm in house for OB, like it took me 6 months to be able to sleep when I was there. I was so terrified I wouldn't wake up to something. And I'm there. They're going to knock on my door if I don't answer,
Yeah.
But
they're going to find you. They need you.
So I guess to kind of wrap things up, I want to end by really talking about the positives, because we've talked a lot over these 2 episodes about the hardship of going through this. So what would you say to someone who is just starting this process, to hang on to reach to this point, to both them and their significant other, about, what advice would you give them going through the journey? And then what encouragement would you have to give them, as in, now that we've reached the point where we, quote, are at the light, we're enough out of school, we've settled back into our everyday life. What is encouragement that you can give them in terms of where we're at now that has made it worth it? Like, what about now makes it worth it? And then also, obviously, what encouragement do you have for them to keep pushing through going into school and going through it?
Okay, I think the encouragement to just persevere through school, I feel like the only thing I have to liken it to is when you're postpartum, which I don't know how many people out there listening have experienced that, but I feel like people would tell me after I had my baby, it will return to normal again. Like someday it's going to be okay. Someday you'll look back on this and either A, won't remember it, or B, you'll look back and think, oh, remember those days. And I feel like that was so much of school for us while we were in it, when people would tell us like it's going to be normal again. Like it will even out. Life will go back to normal. And you didn't believe them. And in a lot of ways, you don't believe that as a new mom either. But it does happen slowly and on your own timeline and in your own circumstances. A lot of things can be different and experiences can be different. But I just would tell them like it is going to be okay. You're going to make it. It's going to go back to normal. It's going to even be better. It's going to be worth it. And there really isn't. I feel like sometimes in life there's really not like a hoorah, hooray, a word that you can give a person for an experience. Sometimes an experience is just hard and it's just kind of crummy, and it is what it is. But just to let them know that that's okay for them to experience that throughout school and not be like, oh, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I love school so much. But to know that it will someday be something they look back on in the rearview mirror and know that like that's in the past and they did it and they're accomplished and they should be proud and life will feel normal again. Because I feel like we finally reached that. And it's pretty crazy to think back on 2019, 2020, 2021 and think we'd ever say those things, that it feels normal again and that it feels better and good again. So I feel like that's just, it will happen. And that would be my encouragement. I feel, what was the second question, Cole?
Just like where we're at now, like we always talk about like when you finally
like
graduate, like what's the light? Like we always say we're in the light, but like what is it about it that actually like makes it feel like it was worth it?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what makes it feel worth it to endure now that we are on the other side and a little bit down the road. I think that is super personal to, you know, who you are, what your goals are, what your values are in life. But I feel like Tanner and I in our marriage and in our relationship and our goals for our family is to always be generous. And then also to build a home. We're really homebodies. We really love to have a place that's a haven and then just a small little, you know, piece of quiet and still for our family. And I feel like those were our two goals for CRNA school, was that when we come out, to be at a place where we can have a slice of heaven in time, finances, and mental balance for our family, where, you know, we could just make a home a special place to raise a family, and then also to be generous to others. And I feel like that might be a broad sense of like, what does it feel like to make it? But I feel like now that we are where we are, we're able to accomplish those things for our family easily. And I feel like that feels really nice. And it feels like being a CRNA really takes a lot of pressure off a lot of those areas where, you know, we can do things that we want. We can experience things that we want as a family. We can give generously. We can help others. We can have others. We can host others. We can have the freedom, the space, the finances, the resources, the ability. And I feel like that for us has always been the goal. And I feel like your career really allows us to do that. And I'm really thankful for that. And I think it just all boils down to it allowing us to pursue the life that we really dreamt of as a couple. And it really is it has a lot to do with your career and the choice that you've made and how hard you work for our family. And I feel like that is really special, really a special thing to have in a career that it, you know, meets all those goals for us. So I feel like when we say that we feel like we've made it, that's kind of, just that we're able to meet those, you know, goals and those visions for our family because of your career, which is really special.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think that when I think about it, sometimes I think like you see other people in different careers, either careers that they are passionate about or maybe not even passionate about, but it's just like where they're, you know, what they need to do right now to make ends meet or whatever that looks like. And I think back about like, I feel like we gave up 3 years of our life to have the dream like forever, compared to like some people, obviously, like a lot of people obviously don't go through that same like trauma or whatever of 3 years that they give up of their life, but then they spend year after year in jobs that they don't really prefer, or that jobs that like don't allow them to reach whatever goals or dreams that they have. And I feel like I think that's what I would tell somebody that's going through it, is like you are giving up 3 years and you are giving them up. Like it is, there's no way around it. It is brutal and it's hard, but the freedom that gives you afterwards compared to even working like other jobs, just from like a standpoint of when I leave the OR, like I'm done. Like I don't think about, patients that I need to round on or that I need to do, or I don't need to prepare a presentation for a big case tomorrow, or like I'm done. And there's so many things that play into the freedom now of the career that there's no way around it. Like you give up the 3 years, but it's given us so much here on this back end. And I think that's what I'm really thankful for. I would echo everything that you just said, Danny, but I would just add that to somebody that's going through the 3 years, that it's to me, I'll take that trade all day long. 3 years for a career.
Yeah, what would you say, Paige?
Well, for encouragement for people, I would just say, just keep going. Take one day at a time. Try not to look at the big picture, and just literally look at the one thing in front of you, and then just keep biting off and chewing, and you will make it. I think one thing that we really learned about each other is just how much grace that we have to give. You have expectations and you have things that you desire, but you just have to give grace, because it's a long 3 years, and there can be dark times, but there can also be good times. And I think growing can be painful and learning can be a challenge, but in the end, I think we're really grateful for the opportunity, and I think we learned a lot about each other. I think we both got stronger through it. And I think our faith got stronger, and just relying on the Lord. And just ultimately, like, I think our marriage got stronger through it, because we had to really just kind of break before and then rebuild,
Mhm.
And then now on the flip side, it's just been really kind of a humbling experience. I think it's been fun. Cole loves to travel, and so I'm more of a homebody, but he's really stretched me in that way. He's always wanting to plan a new trip, um, always wanting to go on another adventure. And I've learned to just go, and it's really fun. And this job has given us the opportunity to be able to do that. And it's been fun to travel the world with him. It's also given us the opportunity that I get to stay at home with my 3 kids, or with our 3 kids. It is such an honor and a blessing to get to do that. That's always been my dream, as a woman, to get to stay home and raise my babies. And CRNA school has given us that opportunity, because if he was a nurse in the ICU still, I don't think I would get that opportunity. And so I'm really grateful for that. And then we were also blessed with a big home now that we can host. We love to invite people into our home and host dinners, and it's just so fun to get to do that, and to bless people, and to gain relationships. And so that has just been some fun things for us that we've gotten to do along the way, that CRNA school and has helped us with. Also, it's been really fun. I've gotten the opportunity to meet a lot of his coworkers, and I knew a lot of them because I worked where he worked before he was there.
Couldn't have waited for that one case after I graduated to do together. You had to retire before that. It would have been so much fun.
But I've gotten to know his coworkers better over the last few years, and it's just fun to see Cole and his environment, and just to see how cherished he is, and how much of a team player, and how much they value him. And that has been a blessing to see. And then his schedule is great. He works a 24-hour shift and then 2 8-hour shifts. And that's just opened up a lot of opportunities for us. His schedule is pretty flexible. to a point with that. And so it's just allowed a lot of family time and a lot of opportunities. And so that's been fun.
Love it. Yeah, I think those are excellent answers to all of that. The only thing I would add to, or just reiterate, specifically speaking to the support person for the person going through anesthesia school, the support person, don't undervalue yourself, because you are extremely important to the success of the one that's actually in the program and enrolled in the program. But you're doing this together. And it's not an individual thing. It may look like that on paper, but it takes an army to successfully get someone through anesthesia school. It is truly like going to warfare. And after you get done with that, the bond that you form with those that you went through it with, it is just strengthened to the point where those bonds will never be broken for me going through the rest of my life. But as everybody noted so far, you have to be torn down before you can be built back up into a successful anesthesia provider. And in the same way, the support person, unfortunately, is going to be the first layer that's going to receive the brunt force of that stress and that breaking down. And so it's not just the person going through school, it's also the one that you're putting your support into. So don't undervalue yourself. This is a team effort getting through school. But as everybody's mentioned so far, it is extremely, extremely worth it. And it's given us the lifestyle that we have always dreamt of. And yes, it is very hard for those 3 years, but if I could just snap my fingers and have transferred from an ICU nurse to a CRNA, that would have been amazing, but then I wouldn't have built up the character that I have been given the opportunity to build up through those 3 years. And as Paige alluded to, now it's made our bond and our marriage that much better, and it's made me a better anesthesia provider. So yeah, just don't undervalue yourself, and stick to it, even when it gets really, really hard. I think grace, as Paige said, is extremely important. Take it one day at a time, one step at a time, and pretty soon you'll be standing on top of the mountain.
Yeah, so I would just say thank you both for everything you did for us. And I don't think that we knew what we were asking of you going into school, and it's not lost on us now that we look back at school, everything that you guys sacrificed, everything that you guys gave up for us, everything that you guys put to the side so that we could continue in our dreams. And it is exciting now to be back to like normal life, normal relationships. And it feels good that everybody feels like it was worth it. That's like, it's a huge concern as you're going through, like, is it worth all this pain? Is it worth all this trouble? And so being here and knowing that it was worth it is very meaningful, but that's not without everything you guys have done for us. So thank you. Thanks for coming on tonight. I know that everybody's had long days, but we appreciate you taking the time to come and join us tonight. And I know that everybody listening, like Cole mentioned at the beginning, we've had such good feedback from the first episode. People were just really drawn to everything you guys were saying and your experiences. So thank you for taking the time, Paige and Danny, to do this again tonight.
Thanks for having us. It was fun.